The driest land in Asia yet, it gives birth to rivers that feed an entire continent. Invaded more than almost anywhere in history, yet never truly conquered. The whole world has looked at this place for centuries, but almost no one has truly seen it. "50 empires came here, 50 empires left. This land is still here." Alexander the Great called it the edge of the known world. Genghis Khan destroyed everything in his path. The British lost here 3 times and still never understood why. Everyone who came brought the greatest power they had, and everyone who left carried away something they could not name. "4,000 years of continuous civilization have left traces on everything here. Buddha statues carved into mountain cliffs, turquoise mosques glowing in the middle of dry plains, and deep blue stone mines that the ancient Egyptians crossed thousands of kilometers to find." Beauty does not ask for permission to exist here. It simply remains, quietly, patiently, waiting for someone brave enough to look directly at it. This is not a story about war, not about suffering. It is about something more lasting than both something rooted in the land and in the human spirit. At the same time, something even time itself has never learned how to erase. And the answer is not found in what humans build or what humans destroy, but in the place where mountains are larger than every ambition. Where the sky hangs lower than every expectation, and where the distance between earth and heaven becomes so thin that a single breath can touch them both. Look up, keep looking up until your neck begins to ache, until your eyes can no longer tell what is stone, what is cloud, and what is snow, and still you have not seen the summit. The Hindu Kush is unlike any mountain range you have ever known, not because it is higher, but because it feels heavier. Heavy in a way you feel inside your chest, not on a map. "800 kilometers of rock and ice stretch across the land like a declaration written by the earth 50 million years ago. Red-brown cliffs, pale blue glaciers. Clouds do not drift above you, they pass at eye level, as if the sky itself has lowered down to look more closely. And when the first light of dawn touches the snow-covered peaks, without a sound, without warning, the entire mountain range catches fire in shades of rose and gold, in complete silence, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. The people here call it the backbone of the country, not as a metaphor, but as a physical truth. The Hindu Kush stores snow throughout the winter, so that in summer, melting ice can feed millions of lives below. Without it, nothing else here could exist. Not even the things humans have built inside its heart for the past 14 centuries. The Bamiyan Valley, from a distance, looks like a painting green, wide and peaceful, resting between two red cliffs. But come closer and you see them. Two enormous hollows in the wall, empty, dark, exposed in the face of the rock like blind eyes with nothing left to see. For 1400 years, two Buddhas stood there, 55 and 38 meters tall, carved directly into the cliff in the 6th century when Bamiyan was one of the greatest monastic centers along the Silk Road. In 2001, over 25 days, everything disappeared. Mines, artillery, 25 days. Today, those empty niches are filled with questions about what makes human beings destroy the most beautiful things they inherit, and why lost beauty can haunt us more powerfully than what remains. Nature does not answer that question. It simply continues creating beauty quietly without needing anyone to witness it. Just a few dozen kilometers from those hollow cliffs, Band-e-Amir appears, as if someone placed 6 giant sapphires in the middle of a mountain desert. Six turquoise lakes shimmer at an altitude of 3,000 meters, held in place by white travertine dams built by calcium carbonate. Deposits over thousands of years, so perfect that no architect could ever copy them. The water is so clear you can see every layer of stone beneath it. The surface reflects snow-covered mountains and open sky until the line between reality and illusion disappears completely. Afghanistan's first national park, established in 2009, while the country was still at war, because some things are so beautiful that even conflict seems afraid to touch them. And on the cliffs surrounding those lakes, there are living creatures that understand this better than anyone. The snow leopard does not appear, it materializes. Its grey-spotted fur dissolves into rock and snow, leaving only footprints as proof that it was ever here. Then, in an instant, it is gone. Higher still, the Himalayan snowcock cries out with a sound like a call from another world, feeding in places where most creatures can barely breathe. On vertical cliffs, the ibex, with curved horns nearly a meter long, leaps calmly from rock to rock, as if gravity applies only to everyone else. These 3 species live here not because they have no other choice, but because the Hindu Kush is the only home worthy of them. Just as the Hazara people have never left, even when they had every reason to. Round faces, deep brown eyes, carrying traces of Mongolia from centuries ago. The Hazara people farm terraced fields, herd sheep across high plateaus and mine by a hand. Their entire way of life tied to the melting cycle of the Hindu Kush. As the largest Shia group in Afghanistan, they have endured persecution few peoples could survive, and still they stand. Every year, when spring returns, Nowruz bursts into life, new clothes, children's laughter, the scent of samanak, and ancient dances beneath the first warm sunlight after a long winter. This 3,000-year-old celebration has survived everything this land has endured because some things cannot be destroyed by bullets, communal memory, and the will to be reborn every spring. It is that same will, across centuries, that pushed human beings to cut through the backbone of the mountains. Kabul rests inside a valley surrounded by peaks. And the Salang Pass, 3,878 meters high, with a 2.8-kilometer tunnel cutting straight through the Hindu Kush, is humanity's answer to an ancient separation. Every winter, avalanches threaten it. Every year, people die on this road, but it remains open because without it, nothing can move across the backbone of the country. Majestic and broken, ancient and wounded, full of loss and still refusing to surrender all at once on the same piece of earth. Mountain winds guide us onward, following the meltwater as it slowly releases its harshness, spreading gently into a vast green carpet where ancient spirits still seem to sing among turquoise shrines and endless grasslands. The wind changes. No longer the freezing breath of snowy peaks, no longer the weight of stone walls, but warm and wide, carrying the scent of damp earth and fresh grass from a plain that stretches so far your eyes cannot find where it ends. The Amudarya does not rush. (2,400 kilometers from its source in the Pamirs to this place, and when it reaches this plain, it spreads out, exhales, and slows down like someone who has traveled too far and has finally found a place to rest. Its water runs thick with golden silt beneath the afternoon sun, while both banks glow green with forests and wheat fields stretching all the way to the horizon. At sunset, the river reflects burning shades of orange and rose like a giant ribbon someone dropped from the sky and forgot to pick up. Ancient Central Asians called it the Oxus, the river Alexander the Great, once stood before, watching, hesitating, before he crossed. The people here do not need a legendary name. They only need it to keep flowing because when it flows, this plain lives. When it dries, nothing remains. And in that endless field of green, your eyes suddenly stop, not because you want them to, but because they have no choice. Ahead, in the middle of the plain, something is shining. The blue mosque of Mazar-e-Sharif appears like a dream someone forgot to wake up from. Its domes and towering minarets are covered in turquoise tiles, blue-green, deep blue sky, blue so brilliant that you are not sure whether this was built by human hands or whether it somehow grew from the fertile earth below. Inside, light filters through the arches, casting slow-moving streaks across the walls like the hands of a clock from another world. Built during the Timurid period in the 15th century, it is still alive. Every day, thousands of people come here not to visit, but to pray, to sit, to be silent inside beauty. Not far from those turquoise domes beneath the same sky, another city lies still in the sand and has been still for 800 years. The Arabs called it al-Bilad, the mother of cities. Balkh has existed since at least 500 years before Christ, the capital of Bactria, a center of Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and the Silk Road. In 1220, Genghis Khan arrived, and when he left, there was almost nothing left to leave behind. Today, ancient mud-brick walls stand silently in the plain while the wind passes through them, carrying the dust of a lost empire. No signs, no guide. Only earth and wind, and the strange weight you feel when standing on the foundations of something once greater than you can imagine. But the ground beneath those ruins is still green, still feeding people and animals, just as it did long before this city had a name. Across the grasslands, between the river and the horizon, goitered gazelles run like pale brown shadows, moving through the grass, 60 kilometers an hour, graceful curved horns following seasonal water from the Amu Darya, like nomads that never truly stop. At dawn over the wetlands along the river, thousands of migrating birds land all at once. White cranes, wild ducks, geese from Siberia, from China, from India, choosing to pause here before continuing their long journey. The people who have lived beside them for generations have also chosen to stop here in their own way and not leave. The Tajik, Uzbek, and Turkmen people farm the land with irrigation techniques inherited from the Timurid age, growing wheat, cotton, and melons crops generously fed by the fertile silt of the Amu Darya. Life here moves slowly according to the rhythm of harvests and the rise and fall of the river until spring arrives and the sound of the dutar begins to rise. People in colorful clothing dance in circles during Nowruz on the open plain. Their songs blend with the wind. Incense smoke lifts into a vast sky with no roof above it. "3,000 years old, this festival survives because the people here understand that after every long winter, spring is not guaranteed. It is something worthy of celebration. And when the music fades, when the festival ends, the plain returns to its true rhythm. The sound of wheels rolling over asphalt, the engines of long trucks moving back and forth across the land. The northern highway cuts across the plain in a straight line, like a black mark drawn across a green sheet of paper. Concrete bridges stretch over the Amu Darya. Trucks follow one another beneath a sky so wide it seems to have no limits. Through war, through avalanches, through flood season, the road remains open. Because this plain cannot survive in isolation, just as the river cannot survive without flowing. And that river, as it slowly tightens its embrace, as it gives way to hot winds carrying restless red sand, the sky turns the color of smoked copper, and the shifting dunes begin to whisper harsher, emptier stories of resilience in a dry and unforgiving land. There is nothing to hold on to here. No trees, no shade, no fixed horizon. Because here, the horizon moves with the wind, with each giant barch and dune, curving like ocean waves, frozen solid beneath the blinding sun. Registan, Afghanistan's largest red desert, is not a place people come to explore. It is a place people come to understand their own limits. Red sand stretches without end. Hot winds sweep through, carrying clouds of dust so thick it feels like another planet. And the dunes, rising as high as 60 meters, do not stand still. They move slowly, patiently, as if the desert is rewriting its own map every day without asking anyone's permission. But beneath that seemingly dead desert, the earth still holds a vein of water. And that vein has a name. The Helmand River winds through the desert like a fragile blue ribbon across a reddish-brown sea more than 1,000 kilometers long, the only lifeline of all southern Afghanistan. Along its banks, rice fields and orchards appear like miracles, green, fresh, almost impossibly alive, against the dry plateau surrounding them. The Khyber Dam holds the water back, distributing it through hundreds of thousands of hectares of straight irrigation canals. The Helmand is not just a river, it is the thin boundary between life and nothing at all. And along that fragile boundary, generation after generation has settled, held on, and refused to leave. The Pashtun and Baloch people, sun-darkened skin. Traditional long garments, turbans wrapped around their heads, led herds of sheep, goats, and camels across the desert, along paths only they can see. They move with the seasons, with the water, with the patches of grass that grow after rare rains. Their nomadic life is not simply because they have no other choice, but because this is how their ancestors lived and how they understand who they are. That understanding does not need to be written in books. It is carved into each generation more deeply than any written text, known by a name the Pashtuns speak of as if speaking of their own breath. Pashtunwali, a code of honor more than 2,000 years old, is not a custom. It is a backbone. Melmastia, absolute hospitality, even if your home has only one piece of bread. Nanawatai, forgiveness for an enemy when he comes seeking protection. Battle revenge when honor has been violated. Three principles that seem to contradict one another, but to the Pashtun, they are one. They are the way a person preserves dignity in the desert, where no law of the state can fully replace the promise of a man before his own community. That spirit did not remain in the desert. It traveled along ancient trade routes, carried by western winds, to the place where Islamic civilization once touched one of its highest peaks. Herat stands there like a witness to everything Afghanistan once was. Mud brick fortresses from the Timurid age. The great mosque covered in brilliant turquoise tiles, once a center of poetry, philosophy, and architecture for the entire Islamic world of the 15th century. War has left cracks in every glazed brick. Time has faded every color. But what remains is still enough to make you stand still, not only because of its beauty, but because of the feeling that this place once knew exactly what it was. And has not forgotten. Below those walls, the desert begins again. And in the desert, life continues in its own way without needing architecture or history to survive. Greated gazelles glide across the red sand like golden brown ghosts 60 kilometers an hour, their feet so light they almost never seem to touch the ground, moving mostly at dawn and dusk before the temperature reaches 45 degrees Celsius. Beneath the sand, desert lizards dig deep burrows to escape the heat, their skin perfectly camouflaged with every red shade of Registan. And in the darkness between dry shrubs, horned vipers lie still, patient, unhurried, as if they have learned from the desert that patience is a better weapon than speed. These creatures do not fight the desert. They become part of it, and that is exactly what Kandahar has done with its own history. Afghanistan's second largest city, the capital of the Durrani Empire, founded by Ahmad Shah Durrani in 1747 and the foundation of modern Afghanistan. Ancient city walls stand beside modern houses. An airport that once served as one of the largest military bases in the region still marks the landscape. Kandahar is not a city you come to for rest. It is a city you come to if you want to understand why this land, no matter how many times it has been invaded, has never truly been subdued. Like the desert around it, it is not welcoming, not soft, but it does not disappear. And as the walls of Kandahar fade behind you, as the sound of sand-filled wind gives way to rustling leaves and moisture from mountain ravines begins to touch your skin, you realize you are entering an entirely different land. A place where ancient roads hide beneath dense forests and rivers roar endlessly between walls of stone. You hear the water before you see it. Deep, constant, unforgiving. The Kunar River rushes down from the Hindu Kush through a narrow valley, its blue-green water thick with silt, while steep mountain walls rise on both sides, covered in forests so dark they almost turn black. Light does not enter this place easily. It has to squeeze through the gorge, falling onto the river in silver streaks that flash across the surface and disappear almost instantly. More than 480 kilometers from its source to this place, and the river does not slow down. The people here call it the bloodstream of the East, not because it nourishes gently like other rivers, but because it flows as if it is running away, carrying everything it touches with it without asking whether anyone agrees. On the high cliffs, covered with pine forests above that river, there is a creature that can make even the bravest person stop and stare. The markhor, with spiral horns reaching up to 1.6 meters, rises toward the sky like two twisted blades standing proudly on a vertical rock ledge with the calmness of something that does not understand danger. Its grey-brown fur blends completely into stone and leaves, but its horns do not. They shine beneath the broken sunlight filtering through the forest canopy like a declaration. This is one of the rarest wild goats in the world, with only a few thousand left across the globe. To the Pashtun tribes, the markhor is not just an animal. It is the embodiment of courage and an untamed spirit of freedom, something no invader throughout history has ever been able to take from them. The Pashtun people here, the Shinwari and Safi tribes, have lived by that spirit for hundreds of years. Long garments, turbans, rifles close at hand. They harvest pomegranates, grapes, and apples from steep terraced fields, cut timber from the forests by season, and trade across the border with Pakistan along routes only they truly know. Sun-darkened faces, watchful eyes, not because they are hostile, but because this is a borderland, and in a borderland, caution is not an attitude. It is survival instinct. They settle disputes not through courts, but through Jirga tribal councils held beneath the shade of large trees, where voices stay low and spoken words carry more weight than any legal document. Pashtunwali is not a law written on paper. It is the air people breathe here. And long before any state existed, it was the only thing keeping this community from breaking apart. But before Pashtunwali, before Islam itself, this land was once the center of an entirely different civilization. Among the mountains and forests beneath moss and tangled roots, the ruins of Gandhara lie in silence. Broken stone stupas, headless Buddha statues, mud brick fortresses slowly sinking back into the earth. From the 1st century before Christ to the 5th century after Christ, this was where Greek art and Indian spirituality met and created something the world had never seen before. Buddha statues with Greek faces, Buddhist carvings draped in Roman-style robes. The Silk Road passed through here carrying not only goods, but ideas, beliefs, languages, all blending together into a brilliant civilization no one could have predicted. Then it vanished, as all the brightest civilizations eventually do, leaving fragments in the forest for those patient enough to find them again. Deeper in the valley, where the mountains give way to a smaller plain, Jalalabad rests in the green of orchards and fruit trees. The gateway to eastern Afghanistan, built during the Mughal age and shaped by every war this land has witnessed. Concrete bridges stretch across the Kunar River. Traffic moves constantly. Markets are crowded. Goods from Pakistan flow in, and produce from the valleys flows out. Jalalabad does not need to explain why it matters, because every road here passes through it, and all of those roads lead to one place. The Khyber Pass, narrow, winding and cold, with wind all year round, is one of the most important routes in human history. Alexander the Great passed through here. The Mughal Empire passed through here. The British came through here and never truly conquered it. Ruins of old forts lie scattered on both sides, like reminders that every invader once believed controlling this pass meant controlling this land. They were all wrong, because this is not a road you possess. This is a road history passes through, and history waits for no one. As the roar of the Kunar slowly disappears behind towering cliffs, as the cold breath of high mountains sinks deeper into your skin, and the sky begins to lower as if pressing down on your shoulders, the mysterious creatures of the high plateau begin to emerge through the thick mist ahead. Where earth and sky meet, and no boundary remains clear anymore. The air is thinner here, every breath takes a little more effort. Every step feels a little heavier. And the sky is so close, you feel as if you could reach up and touch it. The Pamirs are called the roof of the world, stretching out before your eyes as if the earth itself decided to stop here and climb no higher. Snow-covered peaks rise straight into the deep blue sky. The Wakhan Valley runs narrow like an ancient road cut between four nations. Its air so clear you can see mountains hundreds of kilometers away. The average elevation is above 4,000 meters. Many peaks rise beyond 6, even 7,000 meters. And here, between snow, stone, and wind, life still exists in its own way. Across the high alpine grasslands, Marco Polo sheep appear like kings of the plateau. Their massive spiral horns, nearly 2 meters long, curve backward, heavy, shining beneath the highland sun, like the crown of something older than any kingdom that ever existed here. Marco Polo saw them in 1273 and wrote about them in his travel journal, unable to find words strong enough to describe them. "700 years later, they are still here, still walking across those same grasslands. Still looking down into the valleys with the gaze of something that has never needed to explain its presence. And beside those flocks, people live by a rhythm the modern world has never truly touched. The Wakhan and Kyrgyz people wear thick traditional clothing, their faces darkened by highland winds. They lead their herds in seasonal migrations between valleys and mine lapis lazuli deep inside the mountains, using hand techniques passed down from one generation to the next. This deep blue stone, glittering with flecks of gold, was once used by the ancient Egyptians to decorate the tombs of pharaohs. It traveled along the Silk Road all the way to Renaissance Europe. and it still lies inside the mountains of Badakhshan, still mined by bare hands, still carrying the blue of this highland sky within it. When night falls, the sound of Wakhi folk music rises between the tents, songs telling of Alexander the Great, passing through of long winters and short springs of those who left and those who stayed. Yamchun Fortress has stood on the mountainside since the 3rd century after Christ, looking down over the turquoise Panj River, rushing below, forming a natural border with Tajikistan. Alexander the Great passed through here. Marco Polo passed through here. Silk Road caravans passed through here, carrying silk spices, lapis lazuli, and ideas that would change the world. Highland winds still move through those ancient stones, as if time has never truly passed here, only suspended itself in the thin air, waiting. Between snow and stone, hot springs send white steam into green alpine meadows that look almost unreal. Warm water rises from deep inside the earth in the middle of eternal cold. After long days on the plateau, people step into these waters and call them sacred places of healing. And the winding dirt roads of the highlands cling tightly to mountain walls. Small bridges cross deep ravines. Vehicles move like tiny specks through an endless open world. They are the fragile threads connecting one of Afghanistan's most isolated regions to the rest of the world. From this roof of the world, looking down on everything we have passed through, red deserts and green plains, forested mountains and ancient valleys, lost civilizations, and people who still stand, Afghanistan no longer appears as a country you understand through the news. It appears as a living being that has survived everything history could throw at it, and still has not finished telling its story. This is a land the world thinks it already knows, but almost no one has truly seen. Today's journey ends here. But if you want to explore deeper, click on the next video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next documentary.